I love the thought of that too. It just is, it's motivating just to do it, just the way you said it that way. Like I love that. I was going to use that as it's.
And I'm like, my belly, my stomach, my liver, my kidneys, all of them are just getting showered, having a party. Like, I don't know. It's so weird, but it works.
Welcome to the Success Flow Podcast, where our mission is simple: to be better each day and relay our findings with other relentless humans defining success for themselves. If that sounds like you, let's begin.
All right, brother. It would not be a personal development podcast if we didn't talk about morning routines. I had a listener call me out on it. You haven't done anything on morning routines. We talk about it all the time. So that's today's episode. Jumping right in, we're talking about the mornings. It is the morning. Our routines are behind us.
I like this one. When you proposed this as a topic for the week, I thought that was, man, we've gotten like how many episodes? 14 or so, and we haven't even talked about it once. And it's such a big part of our lives now, but it wasn't always. And I'm kind of excited to get into it and what the old days kind of look like and the mindset versus how we're operating at an efficient level now because of the morning routine.
Absolutely. And I opened up a little sarcasm there because it has become a thing, right? Everyone's got a morning routine. Yeah. It almost gets dogmatic sometimes. You have to do this in the morning and wake up at this time. And it's just not the case. But I don't think you can argue with the fact that how you start your day sets the tone for the rest of the day. It's just kind of almost physics. The way you're going to kind of get momentum and kick things off is going to flow out to the rest of the day, plain and simple.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is like, oh, wake up at 4 a.m. It's like a contest on, Instagram or Twitter or whatever, and and there are people that do that. But, most of us like our beauty sleep, and we don't always want to go to bed at like 6 a.m. or 6 p.m., I should say, the night before. What do they say? Like a good average amount of sleep for an adult human being is like 7-8 hours or something, right? To be strong as you can.
Yeah, I think seven's become the minimum. Seven to 9. But yeah, if you're not getting 7 multiple days, it's tough. But yeah, 7 or 8, I think is a great target point.
Yeah, I think I seeing some of that stuff on social media, I was kind of looking at it as like, oh, rah, that can't really work. And I was always a super sleeper, man. Like sleeping in as a kid and growing up was just my thing. Like I hated getting up early for school, but I also think that was like, teenager years and college kid, right? Like you're up late usually and you just don't even want to go in the morning. But, as you get into the adulthood and life and all that kind of stuff, you got to get up early for work, and a lot of times just rolling out of bed and, taking a quick shower and heading straight out for the day. You kind of just get on this little hamster wheel, if you will. And, it's wake up, go to work, come home, do whatever you do to unplug and operate it with brainless activity, and then fall asleep and do it all over again. And, I think in the last couple of years, you kind of realize that when you add some habits and do some things in the morning, it really does set the tone for the day. When you have that quiet morning to yourself to focus on your personal growth and focus on your mindset work, it just gives you that sense of accomplishment to attack the day and whatever it is that you do. And we won't get into the details too much of what my specific morning routine is just yet. But what have you seen from like your life going to where it was before, say 5-10 years ago, to where it is now, and how much you've been able to achieve throughout the day because of implementing a morning routine that works for you?
Well, it's so funny because it's not overnight, right? And I was just thinking back to the Master Tax days, and I had literally started at Master Tax living in a fraternity house. So guess I was sharing a shower at that point, so there was as little amount of time spent in there as possible, wearing flip-flops to get back out. I was just cleaning up. There were times at Master Tax where I wasn't wearing socks because I hadn't done laundry. And I still looked pretty good, like kept the dress on, but like I was waking up, getting clean and getting to the office just in time, right? To get a cup of coffee and get to work, but to be on time. It was operating an autopilot, and obviously, moving into full-time graduating college, that all changed. But it still wasn't very intentional in the morning. I didn't have that. It was, again, maximizing the sleep, not going to bed, very early. It could have been happy hour the night before or whatever. And it was literally just get to the desk, and you would have as much time as possible between waking up, getting clean and presentable, and getting to the desk. That all changed, when you really decide you want to turn pro, as we've talked about in the past, when you realize that you're going to take ownership of your career and your craft, it starts in the morning. So it's just night and day. And we'll talk a little bit more about specifics on the routine and the experimenting that we've done. But there's a couple books that kind of were a catalyst for me. One is The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod, and the other is 5 a.m. Club with one of my favorite personal development authors, Robin Sharma. Both great books. They give you, again, examples of what works for them and what they kind of put their clients through that are working them through coaching. But again, the remaining theme that we're going to drive home in this episode is this is up to you. Make it yours. So curious, you just walked us in the group up at the Junto Summit through your routine, what's working for you. How about talking a little bit about what led you to that, like how you came upon it, and what that's kind of shaped up to be structurally?
Yeah, I did, and this is something that I've implemented really heavily in the last 6 months. And I think you're correct in saying that it's not something you can do overnight. It takes a lot of effort and work, and being okay with not nailing it every single day and just kind of learning from it. But I am not a 4 a.m. guy, not a 5 a.m. guy, but a 5:30 a.m. guy. So I do wake up at 5:30 a.m. every morning, specifically during the week. So we'll talk about a little bit how the weekends. So specifically, the weekends can differ, I guess. So Monday through Friday, my routine is I wake up at 5:30 in the morning and immediately brush my teeth and down 32 ounces of water. And it's kind of just giving your internal system a bath, right? So instead of taking that shower right away, just give my internal organs a bath. And it just rejuvenates you.
It's motivating just to do it, just the way you said it that way. Like I love
it. And I think about that every time. And I'm like, my belly, my stomach, my liver, my kidneys, all of them are just getting showered, having a party. Like, I don't know. It's so weird, but it works.
Bathe your insides, folks. Bathe your insides.
But yeah, the only reason I picked 5:30, like I said earlier, I was never a morning guy. But as I got older, I started to become one, 6:30, 6:45, something like that. But once I implemented the routine, I've got 2 elementary school kids, right? And so they have to get up and get ready for school. And we leave now by 7:15 in the morning to get them out by school. So at 6:30, they're waking up. So I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm slammed throughout the day. I've got the kids running around in the morning. When am I going to get an hour to myself to focus on my mindset work and my personal development and the things that I want to accomplish? I've learned a lot over the years from you on how important that is to become the business athlete that you want to be and fulfill your perception of success and happiness. So I chose 5:30 and it was really difficult. And I started just going, okay, wake up at 6. And then it was backing it up to 5:45. And then now I'm pretty dialed in, 5:30 a.m. every morning. Wake up, brush my teeth, down some water. And then I immediately jump right into the breath work, the meditation, intention setting. I have an app, Spotify, but Spotify playlist is called Guided Meditation. They're quick hitters, dude. They're like 5-minute, 10-minute max each one. I think there's 30 different, not song, but meditations that you can choose from. And so I hit it and I started with just 5 minutes. Now I'm doing a full 15 minutes every morning of the meditation work, and the breath work is built into that. And just the first, that's 5:30 to 5:55 a.m. The first 20 minutes or so, I've already given my insides a bath and I've already calmed my system down with breath work. And I've set the intention for the day and I've cleared my mind. Like just that alone, if nothing else, like you're ready to go, right? And so I took it a step further. I have, before I get into the next part of my morning routine, just touch on the importance of breath work. And because I learned a lot of this from you and like why doing that in the morning, I'm sure you've got some good nuggets on like what it does for your system and the energy it provides because you're tired as hell. But when you start really meditating and focus on your breath work, the energy that's what I thought was really interesting is I was always jumping right into the coffee right when I woke up. And I don't do that until 8 o'clock. So I've got a full 2.5 hours before I even jump into the coffee because of the things that I'm doing with the breath work and the meditation. So touch on that a little bit before I get too deep into the structure of the routine that I have set.
Sure. Yeah. The once you start to realize just the power of the breath, which is your most fundamental thing that's in your subconscious, right? And is affected by the nervous system, which is not typically our friend these days. It's been operating at a different rate. You've been breathing at a completely different pace over the night in the, for the parasympathetic and the rest and recovery phase. So as you get up, it takes some time for the literally oxygenation of your blood to change. So the quicker you can kind of get that moving and increase the oxygenation of your blood, the better the flow is going to be to your brain, your vitals, everything is going to start doing that flush. You talk about a bath for the insides. It's the same thing. We want to be moving and everything circulating. If we just walk to the coffee pot, fill up a cup and sit down, not much is moving except your adrenal glands that are going to be just overwhelmed because we were just in rest and recovery and now you've blocked everything off. So that breath is not only, especially if you're doing the proper belly breathing, your organs are going to wake up. We've got the blood flow going. Oxygen in the blood is literally healing and setting the tone for everything going well in your body. So the more we can increase that oxygenation, first thing, I'd be surprised if you didn't see a less of a need for coffee after you're done. I don't know if that's been your experience.
No, that's 100% been my experience. I was, as I said, I'd wake up, grab the coffee and chill on the couch and scroll my phone, right? Like that was the morning. And then the kids wake up and, here we are, the chaos of the house and getting them ready for school and off on the day. But adding that into, right when I wake up, adding that into my morning routine has been a huge shift in my energy and the way I approach my workday. So that's been amazing. So right after I complete that, I'm a morning mantra guy, right? Like your brain only recognizes the present tense. And so it doesn't recognize all the things that you got to do later on the day. It doesn't recognize what happened yesterday. And so when you have this morning mantra of I am statements or my statements, like my will to do something or I am, etc. When you repeat those to yourself, you, instead of just saying it to yourself or thinking it, when you say them out loud and look yourself in the eyes in the mirror, there's something a little powerful about that, and probably not a little, probably a lot of powerful about that. I get the chills from it, and I actually hit my chest when I say it. And, every morning I wake up and I say, I am confident in all that I do. I am prepared to take action on the opportunities that align. I am an unstoppable beast. And I just say those 3 lines to myself every morning, and I'm like all jacked up, ready to go. And it's a lot of fun. So I think developing a morning mantra is really important. If nothing else, start there. Just wake up and have your mantra that you say to yourself. And that alone will just not trick your brain, but just tell your brain of what you truly want to become and who you are. And over time, you'll be able to back into those habits and to setting yourself up for a great day. But once I get the morning mantra out of the way, then I have the Daily Power Playbook, which is up on my site, oppoflow.com, which is a great playbook. But it helps you kind of track the things throughout the day. It helps you define your purpose. Well, how do you want to be? What are the things that you want to tackle? The tasks, the goals that you have, who can help? And then recognizing the opportunities, the wins, and the education, the things you learn throughout the day is the OWE. And then R at the end of the day, you reflect. But I complete the daily purpose portion of the Daily Power Playbook in the morning, 6 a.m. I write down the goals and tasks that I want to complete for the day, who can help if anybody can, and then how do I want to be. So once I complete the daily purpose in the Power Playbook, then the brain activity and the workouts and the body work and all that stuff starts kicking in. So 6:15 in the morning, either depending on my schedule, I either have a workout, strength training from 6:15 to 7, or I'm listening to an audio book that I am going through some chapters. So 45 minutes of listening to a new book, which right now is The Art of Impossible, thanks to your recommendation, which is an incredible read. By Steven Kotler, and then
review coming.
We're gonna have a rundown on that one. That one's incredible. Or I write. I love to write, so I'll sit there for 45 minutes and just hammer some stuff out, get into flow state, and just write out my things either for the storybook or my thoughts or whatever, and kind of journal a little bit, or go on a walk or a run with the pup, with Juno the silver lab. So it's good to get outside and get that sunlight too. So there's one of those types of activities that happens between 6:15 and 7 every single morning. And then from 7 to 8 is, okay, now we're going to flip the music on. We're going to shower. We're going to get ready for the day. We're going to help my wife and kids get ready for school. And my wife is, she leaves about 7:30 for work. So then I will take them to school about at that time as well. So 7 to 8 is a little just kind of being with the family. 8 o'clock, healthy breakfast, first sip of coffee. Right? So I'm up for 2.5 hours before I get that coffee because I got so much energy already setting the tone.
That's huge. That's a big deal. And we're going to be covering a lot of this. Is credit to Andrew Huberman. He's been huge on this, but 90 minutes is what he says. 90 minutes allows your adrenaline and cortisol levels to naturally come down in the morning. Breath work is going to speed it up a little bit. So then that caffeine is going to have a much slower release. And it's going to prevent the afternoon slump. So it's tough to do. I cannot get Paula to do it. And sometimes fail myself if I have to jump right in, but it's a game changer if you can wait 90 minutes on that. Sorry, I had to jump in there.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. I know Dr. Dan Wool, he's over at Chambers Clinic in Grayhawk area here in Scottsdale, Arizona. He's a close friend of mine, and he talks about how, he actually says 2 hours. If you can go 2 hours, it's just that much better on your system. And if you can find the ways and things and the activities and the habits that you can build into your morning to get you that energy and that alertness before you even need coffee, I think there's some studies that go with like longevity of life and all sorts of stuff, right? And it's just the way you have your system operating at optimal level. It doesn't start with the first sip of coffee right when you wake up. But once I have the healthy breakfast, then 8:30 a.m.
Yeah, getting our biology to work for us.
Exactly, right? Yeah. And once 8 o'clock hits, the breakfast is eggs, coffee starts. And then 8:30, ready to crush the day. So, as an entrepreneur, I've got my team and we operate working with small businesses and, on the payroll side of things. And, everyone knows 8:30 is when I jump on and, the team's rocking and rolling. They know, they got it dialed in. But 8:30 is when I really start my work day, if you will, after my breakfast is done. And it works for me, right? Those 3 hours work for me. It gives me a sense of accomplishment. I've already done so much on that day before I even really think about what the work day's like. But I would, everyone's different, as you alluded to earlier, and finding what works for you is the most important thing, not copying someone else's routine. I think it's good to try things and maybe try their routine, but if it doesn't work, be okay with pivoting and figuring it out for yourself. At the end of the day, if nothing else, get some meditation, breath work, and get your morning mantra going and try and hold off on that coffee if you can as long as possible.
I love it. I love it. And that might be a little intimidating to some of the listeners when you say 3 hours. Does not have to be. I'm going to kind of give it a different spin. We were talking about when prepping for this episode how good it is to be able to contrast each other's lifestyles because they're so different, with Stephen having kids and myself not. But I put a lot of work into this as well. And I used to be on this discipline is everything. It needs to be the same every day and the time. And when I missed certain things or had to rush or travel through something off, it would discourage me, which is silly because I'd still gotten done much more than, most people are getting done. But because everything didn't go well, I didn't want to be susceptible to my routine and not having everything perfect. So like Stephen just said, I made some non-negotiables. And that for me is wake, water, waves, Wim Hof. Like they're W's, and those are the four that are non-negotiable. Wim Hof is the breath work for people that don't know. It's a W that works for me, and kind of threw it in. But
quad dub. I don't know if that's a thing.
The water thing is the quad dub. That's what we're calling it. But those are my non-negotiables because every time I get those done, I don't need coffee for the sustained time. So wake up, 32 ounces of water, inside bathing. If you're not doing that, that's a huge game changer. Have it next to your desk, and if you want to up it a little bit, add a little lemon and salt water, get those electrolytes that you lost overnight. Anyway, straight there, I want to get out into the sun. I didn't hear this in yours, Stephen, but I'd like to challenge you on it. That's what sets the circadian rhythm. If you're struggling to fall asleep at night, your brain it starts shutting down for sleep the minute you wake up. So if you can get 10 minutes of sunlight, this could be done on a walk. We're trying to stack these habits, right? Get the most out of them, not rush them. But if we can stack the habits, it's going to be easier. We're going to enjoy them more. I sit out and tie that in with breath work. I'll open my eyes enough to get some sunlight in, do my breath work, hold and sit in silence, get enough sunlight in my eyes. Again, this can be done. I'm done in 11, 12 minutes when I'm really trying to squeeze in my routine. So now I've knocked out that, I am ready. I do a little bit of movement, just enough to get that blood flowing, as we talked about, like some stretches, maybe 20 push-ups and some squats. Like I'm just trying to get the minimum amount of blood flow so my organs know we're alive. I'm off to the races and working. That's my bare minimum. Like that is most days.
It's solid.
On the weekends, or if I have gotten up early enough, which is typically, by the way, you have a 5:30 start, so I'm up anywhere between 4:45, and it's tough to sleep in past 6:30, but I'm usually landing right around 6 o'clock. Like the margins are there, but I just kind of wake up when I wake up. It's not a really thing anymore. Set an alarm if there's been a late night for some reason, concert or some exception, but pretty much I'm waking up on the sleep cycle when my body wants me to, and it's worked really well. If I can get those bare minimums in, I'm going straight into creation. I'm getting my thoughts out. I'm trying to set my intention, going back to my playbook on which customers do I need to serve today within my day job, what is top of mind and what it has to be executed, get a clear picture of those actions that have to get done. And then also, what am I doing in regard to my health that day, my relationships, and my finances? How am I increasing all those? Finances is typically around, executing well in my day job. So that one is taken care of and was planned the night before. But really ironing out what workout I'm going to get in, thinking about what I'm going to eat, which is hopefully already taken care of, or I'm or I'm going to have lunch at a healthy restaurant. Get that grasp and intention for the day so I know that my business athlete day is laid out in front of me. And then I'm off to the races. And then there's a creative output. I'm in a great mindset, just like you. We've got the momentum, and we're just operating from a sense of clarity, which I think is the key for the morning routine.
Dude, that's absolutely right. The clarity piece and the laser focus and the vision. Because when you set yourself up with a morning routine and you hold yourself accountable and showing up for yourself in the morning, you can't be a fool the night before. Like, you just can't. Right. So if you're out partying the night before and you're trying to implement a morning routine, it just doesn't work. It simply doesn't. And so those healthy habits kind of go hand.
If you're rolling with the pigs at night, it's hard to fly with the eagles in the morning.
That's a good one. What's the Wolf of Wall Street one where he says, if you're going to party with the boys, you better wake up with the men? It's something like that. That's a good line from that movie.
Oh, yeah, something like that. Same idea.
Yeah. So, it's true, though, right? Like, you've got those habits when, like, if you want to start a morning routine, then you got to think about, okay, well, how am I going to wake up, right? Am I going to wake up refreshed? Or even if I'm a little tired, but are you foggy from the night before? And it just the motivation's not there. So then it takes it back. Okay, now the night before, I've got a night routine, right? Which will be a whole nother episode that we'll talk about on how the things you do to get yourself ready for bed. But, again, the morning routine is so important during the week to set, like I said, you have the sense of accomplishment. You're ready to crush the day. You've got positive affirmations. You got good vibes going. Like, I think music is a big piece of that. Getting outside, going for the walk or the run, like you mentioned, like that's super important. If you have a dog, go take your dog for a walk because they need their walks too. And it's almost like they're walking you in a way, and instead of you walking them. So leverage your pup to get outside. But throw music on, throw tunes on. So once you have that quiet morning to yourself, throwing the music on is super impactful to set the tone for your day as well. But the weekends are a little different, right? Monday through Friday, it's easy to stick with that routine. Weekends, you have more time on your hands, more freedom and more temptation, if you will, because you're not distracted throughout the being on the move throughout the work week. So I don't get up at 5:30 in the morning on the weekends. That's kind of where I get my recharge. Saturday, Sunday, I sleep in a little bit, which is like 6:30, 7 o'clock, but it's still an extra hour or two. And I don't start right away because my family's already up by then with the breath work, intention setting and all that. But I do incorporate it throughout the weekend. So the same habits are there. It may not be the exact routine, but for me, I have a little bit with the family, the kids, and, wanting to spend quality time with them. And, maybe we're going to the park to shoot hoops and things like that first thing in the morning because it's so hot here in Phoenix. So I'll take that time with them and then factor in the other things that I want to accomplish throughout the day. So I may get my workout in at noon instead of 6:15, right? So the goal is not to skip it altogether. Don't let the 2 days of the weekend ruin the progress of your 5 days prior in the work week, and just continue to keep those habits that you develop for yourself and carry them through the weekend. It just may not be the exact same time.
So you're not starting over on Monday.
Exactly. And you're going into the week refreshed, ready to go. You're not having the first Monday, Tuesday, or whatever, taking a day or two longer to get into the groove of the week. But that works for me. It could be different for you. You may be a little bit more rigid on the weekends. I don't know. But I think being rigid with your morning routine throughout the week is important for me. But on the weekends, it might be a little bit more loosey-goosey. Just continue the habits and carrying them through is important.
Yeah, I wouldn't say my weekends are more rigid, but they are... I just get more of this stuff in. Like, I have more time to just let more of these activities flow. So I love my morning routines on the weekend. The only thing that's really gotten in the way is early morning golf because I'm getting my sunlight out there, but I want to get the water is the easiest one, and getting the breath work done before the round is super important. That does throw my weekend day off a little bit, but then to your point, you just got to make, not having 4 or 5 beers on the course anymore. It's straight to either the sauna or the cold plunge or getting back to get some things done. So to your point, it's keeping the momentum through that weekend so you're not starting over on Monday.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say we're the no fun police. We have a good time, right? We're not that you're not so dedicated where you can't enjoy yourself, but I think you do pay attention to. At the end of the day, if you're trying to make positive change in your life, this stuff is important. And if you're going to let some old bad habits get in the way of that, then that's on you, and you got to kind of pivot and learn and figure that out. There's a quote, Benjamin Franklin, our guy, the founding father of Junto and of our country. He has this quote: "Your net worth to the world is usually determined by what remains after your bad habits are subtracted from your good ones." And I thought that was super impactful because I had a mindset shift and my identity shift big time in the last 12 months. And it was little by little cutting back or eliminating the bad habits and incorporating the good ones. Again, little by little. I wasn't forcing it all at once. It was just compounding. Okay, I'm going to adjust here. I'm going to add this, and I'm going to see how this works. And I'm going to be okay with making a mistake, or I'm going to give myself grace. I'm not going to be mean to myself. Like, I understand I'm learning and growing and trying to figure this out. So I'm okay if I have a cheat day. I'm okay if I, don't do what I thought I was going to do and it kind of ruined my weekend or ruined the week to start because I, let some of those bad habits get the better of me. But as you continue to progress and grow, it becomes the norm, and it is an identity shift, and it's just who you are, and that laser focus and that business athlete and just fulfilling your perception of success and happiness, it's an incredible feeling when you start implementing that.
Absolutely. Give yourself grace. You're making great changes and putting in the effort for yourself. So be patient with yourself, but self-correct quickly, I think is all we're getting at, is stay on path, be a heat-seeking missile, and bounce back from the lows and hiccups, and you'll be all right. Dude, I think that's a wrap. I think we covered some good ground on the morning routine. Check that box and let us know what your morning routine is. Reach out, shoot us an email. We'd love to hear it. If we have anything way off, we'd love to hear your thoughts. So reach out to us at successflowpod@gmail.com, and we'll be at you next week.